Good morning everybody, I'm back in this room again. It's Bank Holiday Monday and I shall be picking off a couple of these walls. Let me turn you around and show you the mission. Now on Friday, I prepared this room. I plastered this ceiling and it was an overboarded, plasterboarded ceiling, and although I scrimmed everything, I've noticed there is a little hairline crack here, which is a bit strange really. I don't know how this ceiling would have moved over the weekend, unless anyone's been upstairs having a disco. But it just shows you that even with scrim, these joints can crack. So I don't really want to touch it yet. I'll let it get decorated and see if they can do it. The people that are decorating it, don't want to start chopping out bits and pieces. But anyway, the mission today is, well actually, it's Bank Holiday Monday, so I want to be out of this room by Tuesday. So I'm just going to give myself 2 really easy days. So all I've got to do is this wall, not the radiator wall, that's been done. I've just got to do round there, and then that wall, and that wall. So today, all I'm probably going to do is get a couple of walls done, and I think I've got to put some bonding up on that, because that header is, although it looks okay from there, when you put a level on it, it's dropping down at that end. It's sort of doing that. Obviously I've over exaggerated it there. So I'm probably going to bond that out and just get it level, ready for the bead to go on there and there. Obviously the ankle bead along there for tomorrow. So yeah, 2 easy days really. I thought I'd just pull myself forward and get in on the bank holiday. I've had a nice weekend off and I'm sort of getting a bit bored now, so I might as well come in and make 2 early days rather than just try and struggle on Tuesday to get this done. So let's get some PVA out and let's get in the mix. And the old faithful PVA tub. That tub, I can tell you, is, oh, how old is that? That is over 30 years old, that tub. Still going strong. Now, it's not often that I get to brag about the size of something, but today is an exception, and this is why. How's about that for a speed skim? How's about that? Look at that. Cover off that. Bit bent at that end, but we'll ignore that. But look at that. That's a 1.8 metre raw speed skim, whatever you want to call it really. That was given to me. I did a K-Ren course in Essex about 6 or 7 years ago now. And as part of the course, at the end of it, we always given one of these. So I'll show you this little thing in action today. These joints here where plasterboard is meeting the old original render, there was some sort of brickwork there that had to be covered up, so I've dot and dabbed onto there. And obviously there's going to be a join down here, a join down here, and then we've got our joins here. Now instead of just using normal scrim to just go over that, I'm just going to go over the top with the strength, and I'm going to be placing a whole roll of that down, as if it was a drop of wallpaper really. Just top to bottom with that. Same with that bit there, and I'll even do a nice wide band of it around there. Especially after that scrim has failed on this ceiling here. I don't know if you saw that earlier, but there is a crack there. And this ceiling was only plastered Friday. It is now Monday, and for some reason, it's brand new plasterboard as well. It's not as even if it's an Artex where I haven't seen a crack. That's brand new plasterboard, and I've scrimmed it all. But for some reason, there's a joint on there. So I wouldn't trust the scrim on a joint like that. So I'm going to go big with that stuff. Right, so I know that I've done as much as I possibly can now to reduce any cracking, so I feel better about that. I could have just chucked scrim over it all, but it's not worth it, is it? You've got the better stuff, use the better stuff. So the wall's just had its first coat and it's had a good flatten over. Now I'm just going to leave that to pick up for a bit, because there is a little bit of discrepancy going on where the board meets the wall, and the wall there, the original wall, had a big belly in it and it comes out a bit at the bottom. So I'm not going to try and get it perfect, but I do need to put another thick coat on all that just to try and lose it, mainly for when they do the skirting board and obviously when they paint the ceiling line. But as luck would have it, all the walls are being painted in the same colour as the ceiling anyway, so not too much to worry about there. But yeah, I'll let that pick up, to get another good mix on, and chuck another thick one on it, I think, is always the best way. Don't be scared to go on thick, you know, twice, first coat and second coat, it won't hurt it. And just allow your picking up times, really. If you go on it with another thick coat, when that first thick coat is soaking wet, that's when you're going to start getting a bit of sagging and you're going to get slumping down the bottom, and them lines can be quite hard to get rid of. Even at polishing stages, you can have your ripples coming in and out. So just let that pick up, don't panic with it. It will hold back. It's not a big wall, so there'll be plenty of time for trailing up and stuff like that. So I think I'll have a quick cup of tea, get another mix on and get a second coat on it. Right, we're going to give this monster of a speed skim a go. To be quite truthful to you, I don't use this a lot really. There's not many situations where you need a speed skim or a rule this big in skimming, so but I just thought it would make a decent video. So I've used it a couple of times on skim and it's always worked well. But usually there's always a plug socket or something in the way, but these walls are quite sort of open, so let's see how we get on. I mean, it's so quick, it's almost gone across the wall already. But what it does do is highlight where your hollows and dips are. Like you can see along the edge of the blade there, where there is some and then there isn't some. So it will highlight that instantly, really. Let's take it across and see how we get on. You do have to be careful not to dig anything because it's like a 1.8 metre sharpening, but that across that top wall there, that's great, it's so good. I can see I've still got quite a belly there. It's quite a belly there as well, but yeah. Right. Let's get a normal float over now, trowel over. Not something I think I'd want to use all the time, to be honest. I don't think you need to go to that level of width across the wall. So on these chases as well, I would do exactly the same. I feel that they warrant a bigger bit of mesh really. So I'll just bed some of this in. Let's get that down there. And that, to me, is a much better job than just normal scrim. There's quite a lot of shrinkage with the, you can see what they're all like. They're all shrinking where the guys filled them all with plasterboard adhesive, and that may never move, but I just feel that that's a better thing to do. And it also evens out the depth, because obviously where they shrink in, you do get a little bit of like sinking in there, where that mesh just sort of scoots across it. A lot stronger than the little mesh, because the little mesh will sink back in, but that sort of tightens across a bit like a skin, so it sort of helps out for everything really.
And this person was angry, and it was not in any way a kind of relaxed, chatting environment that A. Buckles favours. And, you know, I wanted to be a chat. I really thought this person and I were going to get on pretty well as well. And I said, okay, look, I can see you're sort of frustrated. So what did you do? How do you stare at Chelsea Manning there and not get rattled when she's...
That's what you're describing as a kind of perfect storm of nightmarishness. I'm reading exactly the same thing.
Right, and let me just stir that. Shall I use the Old Faithful? I've actually got a fork. Let me just give them a stir. Just get them all swishing about. Right. So we have got these two walls on now. That wall all on. Now this has started drying a bit weird down here. I don't know if you've ever come across this, but there's a little bit of cracking going on now. And there is a little bit of patching up, sort of, doesn't matter how what you skim, it just keeps drying in. The rest of it's fine, it's just that area there. And that, I would imagine, is due to that there. And although this house is empty, they still have the heating coming on and off. Now every now and then you come across this situation where you've got to make good into a window frame like that, and I never like to have plaster touching plastic because it never wants to bond. So what I've done is I've got hold of some sort of more render beads really, but I've only got like about looks like about a 5 or 6 mil return on the bead. And then on this one here, I've just got my laser up. I've just stuck that down that edge with a bit of sealant, and that will go off overnight. I will do the same that side, and then hopefully, let's get my trowel on it. Hopefully when the plaster's on, I might need to tuck that in a bit, but it should give a nice definite edge to decorate to then, and then all you're going to be left with is a little white return there, which will match the windows anyway. So we'll see how we get on with that. Right, so they're sitting there now. I've just got to bring another bit with me at my garage. I thought one length would be enough, but it's not. So I've stopped a bit short there, but I'll join it in tomorrow. So I'm just going to get some bonding and just bond this out, just leaving it in a bit like you would with a bead. And then hopefully that'll give me a good chance in the morning to get these looking really nice and sharp, really. I'll cut some of this sealant back as well. Otherwise, when you hit these window frames from an angle, you've just got plaster meeting the window frame, the plastic, and then when you try and decorate it, it never goes well. You're always going to get a little bit of cracking going on, because obviously these will probably move about, and as they do, these plastic frames, they do a bit of contraction, especially when they get hot. So doing this should mean if there is any contraction of that window frame, it's only going to be between the bead and that, and hopefully it won't pull the bead and start cracking there. But I just think that at the end of the day, just having the plaster to there and then you got this to decorate to is a much better line. I did similar around this door frame, but I used the metal stock beads here. I did do a video on that. It's on the playlist if anyone's interested, because the door frame and the wall, when it was put in before I replastered it, the actual door frame was completely flush with the wall. So they're not having an architrave around it because it's a plastic door, so there's no timber to put an architrave in. So the only solution really was to put some metal stock beads around the top, and obviously they've probably got a little bit of cork to go in and a little bit of mucking about with some decorating. But by and large, that is a much neater job than trying to just join plaster to UPVC. There we go, so we've got the laser level on now. Making sure that's nice and straight all the way up. If you haven't got a laser level, they're a lot cheaper than they used to be now. You know, for 30, 40, maybe 50 quid, you can get a real nice little level like that. And it's much better than trying to hold spirit levels up and run pencil lines down things. I thoroughly recommend them. I'm sure most of you watching have got a laser level because you're probably into all this stuff. But if you are a bit of a DIYer and you are thinking about attempting anything with this sort of stuff, or you know, just creating nice straight lines in your house, nothing truer than that actually, not in my opinion anyway. I had a bag of Eco Ren base coat left over, so I'm just using that up really. Goes off nice. And as it's around the window frame, I thought it might be better than bonding. So that's that one on as well. Left a gap for the finish to sit in. So once we've got the bead on there, the bead will bring us out a couple of mil. They should line up pretty good really, as best as we can do. Need to bring another bit of bead in, I'll make that in tomorrow before I start skimming. And then tomorrow is just that wall and that surround there. So I was going to get that wall on today, but it's pointless really, because all I'll be doing otherwise tomorrow is standing there watching this dry. So I might as well be doing that and that at the same time, just to keep me busy. So I've come across a problem here. I overboarded this little bit of ceiling the other day. Didn't take too much notice of it, and I've just looked at it and just put my level across the top of it. I'll show you with the laser's better really. So obviously I want to stick an angle bead along here. So there's my laser coming from there, coming along the edge, which is obviously right into that corner. But look what it does down the far end. I don't know if you can see that. Let me try and zoom you in. It's sitting about 1.5 inches down. So there's no way I'm going to get an angle bead. I mean, you'll probably see it better through this camera now. You'll see the waving up and down. So what I'm going to do now is, I was going to go home actually, but I can't. I've got to knock up a load of bonding and just bond this ceiling out and just try and bring it to a bit of level now. Otherwise, I've got no chance of getting out of here really by the time I want to tomorrow. These are the things you've got to do, aren't you, when you're a plasterer? This is what it's all about, isn't it? Making things straight. God, that look rough. Look, the state of me and that, look like Victor Meldew. Anyway, go on laser level again. But yeah, these are the things you've got to do. I've just literally packed up, just all ready for tomorrow to start mixing. And I thought I'll just put a level up there, see how it is. And it's literally sort of like that down the end. So find the willpower to go and start up again, mix up, start spreading. But if I don't get that bonded out today, that's going to just take me forever tomorrow. So I don't really want to stand and watch that dry. So hopefully about half hour should be done. That's a lot better, but I still think we need, definitely, oh my God. Yeah, it's still come down quite a lot here. I think what I'll do is I'll come down to a decent depth that I can put on with this bonding. Just flatten it out a bit, and then tomorrow morning, first thing I do is set the bead on and then bond to the bead straight. I think if I keep going with this bonding, I'm going to come to a point where it's going to want to start falling, because it's literally another sort of 3/4 of an inch down the end. So I'd rather just pin the bead up, pull it along, and then chuck a load more bonding in tomorrow and set the bead into the bonding. I'll just put a little bit there because I know that's going to be deep. And yeah, I think I'll stop there with it rather than risk it all coming down. A little bit more there. Right, okay. So I'll make another video tomorrow, so hopefully you can come back to my little channel and see how this come out tomorrow. I shall do like a follow-on video of the rest of this room, showing how these little plastic beads solve this problem of coming up against plaster meeting, UPVC windows even, and how to sort of get over that sort of horrible, how do you join the two together. Anyway, see you soon.